we were mixed in with full-time students. And the harder thing was more around the context switching, because you would have to be in university mode where I'm able to interact with experts, so older people, senior people, in a way that I probably would have never been able to practice or refine if I went to university or if I didn't do anything at all. I'm not saying don't specialize, but what I am saying is get through the door as soon as possible. And the door that you want to get through, stop thinking that it's going to be the final destination.
How did you feel about learning part-time while working full-time?
Yeah, so mine was both, I would say part-time, because a lot of apprenticeships, you'd work full-time for a decent period of time, and then you might go off to university for like 2 weeks and you do like a sprint course. Other people do 1 day a week, which is still decent. So for example, you have a study day on Friday, whereas mine was 2 days a week. And it makes a big difference because so for me, I was at Queen Mary and I was studying computer science with the students that were real full-time students. It wasn't like a separate class where everyone is a degree apprentice. We were mixed in with full-time students. And the harder thing was more around the context switching, because you would have to be in university mode where I'm not saying that you're going to university trying to act like you're not an apprentice, but you're going into university where everyone is a student and they don't know what you're doing yesterday, they don't know what you're doing the next day, for example, working in the office. And what that means is when you now go into the office, one, you have this belief that you're still a student. And it's important to remain young whilst you're working, but there are certain things that you just need to cut out when you have to return back to work. And I think that for me, it was like constantly, okay, am I in uni mode? Am I in work mode? I have coursework that's due on a day that I'm working. I have a work dinner or for example, like after work drinks on a day that I'm at university. And I think that switching was really hard. But I think, I enjoyed it because my first 2 years at university were really, really fun. But I would say that as time progressed, it did get a bit annoying from a point of view of what I was learning wasn't directly transferable to the work that I was doing. I felt like I was enjoying myself from a knowledge point of view more at work than at university.
Did you feel like you got a proper university experience?
Yeah, I would say that I got a proper university experience. I would say after talking to more apprentices, it was quite different. So I wouldn't say I was the most always at work or always at uni, but I would say like my experience as an apprentice was an anomaly from a case of I did give a lot to my uni life. We went on holiday a couple of times. Going on holiday to New York isn't something that an apprentice does. Then starting Black Apprentice Network, I kind of feel like a student completely from year 2 to year 4. But I would say
ACS president.
Yeah, I was ACS president as well. So it was a thing of my first 2 years were really, really uni focused, that it gave me all the life that I needed. And then year 3 and year 4, one thing that you'll notice is even university students don't care about that uni life. And that uni life in London isn't the uni life that people talk about. I think that in the UK, we keep on watching, because we've grown up on American TV, we think that once you get to college, like you're free and you can do everything. In the UK, like it's very much more calmer. It's not as crazy. You don't have spring breaks. You don't have like fraternities, or you don't have like college football. You don't have that. So one thing that I would encourage all aspiring apprentices or all aspiring undergraduates to look at is don't get like swayed by that uni life. It's like maybe cumulatively, maybe like 3 months of your whole university career. I would say like students give 1 month every year to just fun. And after that, it's either trying to get a job, being sad that you don't have a job, or like focusing on getting like the best grade possible.
How did you feel when you had deadlines for both work and uni at the same time? And how did you manage it?
It was very, very peak. I didn't manage it well. And I got told a lot of times at work that I wasn't managing it well. I think for me, so the company that I was in, it was, I wouldn't say super, super intense. It was manageable, depending on the team that you're in. I had some friends in the same company that had really, really, really intense managers, really, really intense teams. I think for my position, it was intense because I made it intense. I didn't manage it well. But on a university front, I did really, really good from understanding, okay, what is needed of me and when, and talking to the people that are in the years above, talking to people that were supervisors to say, okay, like how much time do I really need to dedicate to doing this? But the thing with work deadlines is it means more. Like the business actually needs something. So if they're waiting on you, like everyone is waiting on you. At university, no one is waiting on you. Your grade is your grade, but at work, you contribute to a team, which contributes to a division, which contributes to the whole company overall. So I would say like managing it is really, really important. But for me personally, I got better at it year on year, but I could understand looking back, okay, where I probably should have managed it better.
Did you feel supported by your university and lecturers?
I didn't feel that supported by my university and lecturers, purely because at the time that I was doing my degree apprenticeship, it was solely for full-time university students. When I look at the years below, they have their own campus, they have their own lecturers that are tailored for the degree apprenticeship program. But for me personally, like every year below me, they're gonna have that. But for me and the years above, we didn't have that support because they thought that we were full-time students. And I would say we had some support from our company who were like fighting on our case when there was a deadline that no one could reach because of compliance reasons. Then yeah, I would say that I was supported.
How did you feel about the quality of teaching compared to a traditional degree?
Completely the same. I would argue when I look at the years below me, they get it better because my company now has also introduced, and I think other companies do this as well, or even if they don't do this in a formal way, you can ask subject matter experts, the people that you work with, about what you're doing at university because they've done it before and they are also the best in their position to tell you. So for example, let's say you're doing like this module called object-oriented programming. Everyone that study computer science does this. Every software engineer is good at this. So if I didn't understand it, if I had no one to go to at university to ask for it, I could ask my manager, I could ask maybe someone around. That you almost have like this new network of people that you can ask questions to. So if you were to relate it to accounting and finance, when you want to ask questions on something related to like applied finance, you could probably ask someone that is more suited to giving you the real answer rather than like a lecturer that hasn't had the industry experience.
Nice. How do you feel like you've changed since, starting your apprenticeship?
I changed massively. I think that going into the degree apprenticeship, I was aware that I was going to change. I wanted to change. I was really, really inviting of the change, and that change being the acceleration into the goals that I wanted to achieve. So like I really, really wanted to work for specific companies because initially when I was younger, I was like, okay, like at that company you get this salary. Like I think in year 11 or year 10, I was always searching, what's that higher salary on Google, or tell you these XYZ companies on Glassdoor, and you'll be like, okay, I want to kind of align my career to that. Then it would be like, oh, what job is doing this? And I was like, okay, I can align my career to that. And my degree apprenticeship was like the best of both worlds, where I was like, okay, great company, great degree at a good university. Let me just do that. So I knew I was going to change for the better. I wanted to mature. I wanted to become a bit more independent. Even though I stayed at home, I probably didn't become as independent as like people that moved out or people that went to different countries or like cities for university. But I would say that I changed in a good way. I'm able to interact with experts, so older people, senior people, in a way that I probably would have never been able to practice or refine if I went to university or if I didn't do anything at all. I'm able to manage money better because I had access to it earlier. So you kind of make all the mistakes. You kind of get used to what money can do for you. So it's like not as crazy when you actually do need to start caring about it. I'm able to prioritize what needs to be managed a lot more and a lot faster. So I can make decisions a lot faster because I was faced with making more decisions a lot younger. So yeah.
Do you feel more mature, independent than your friends at uni?
I feel more, you know what? I have certain friends at uni where I'm like, yeah, I'm more mature than you. I think there's multiple things. Like it's a big spectrum. When there's some people that like really, really know how to maximize their pound because they were scarce on pounds. And I was blessed to be in a position where I wasn't scarce on pounds. So there's some people that are way better than investing than me, way better than saving than me. So from a financial point of view, they could be better than me. because they didn't have as much, or they had to manage, for example, a SFE payment that would have lasted 3 months, whereas I was getting monthly payments. But when it comes into the things that I care about, I would say I'm more mature than a university student. So let's say from a corporate point of view, I see some university students that wear the wrong thing to corporate, that act in the wrong way, that will actually allow them to get the opportunities in corporate. I'm a big person on leverage. So how can you leverage the things that you have in a really comfortable way? So I see some university students that are real shameless when it comes into trying to get the thing that they want. And when I say that, they'd DM someone on LinkedIn, and I'm big for DMing someone on LinkedIn, but they would say the wrong things, very immature way. I need this. Can you help me get this job? I'm like, that's just not going to work. Whereas I've almost had to try and master the art of getting or negotiating or getting like the corporate stuff that you need, and which is what I cared about. But when it comes into, can I like change bed sheets? Yes, I can. But I think that university students that have moved out of home can manage that sort of life better than me. I mean, I stayed home for 4 years, and so I can't say that I've tried to. I mean, besides New York, living in New York for a month, I became really mature, I would say there, but it's not the same as like actually moving out.
In a typical week during your apprenticeship, and maybe there were different seasons for this, how did you feel? Did you feel tired? Did you feel proud? Did you feel stressed?
I think every year was different. So my first year, I was excited as hell. And my first year was generally like every day is a new day. What's happening? Like, what's the motive? Whether it's uni, whether it's going out with work people, trying out as many things as possible, talking to different people. Like, we were going to, whether it was like a university event, an Amos bursary event, another degree apprenticeship event, one of our friends' birthdays, every day was generally different. And it was at a time when we were going out off the back of COVID. So everyone was also excited to go out. Mm-hmm. Second year now started Black Apprentice Network. It wasn't even steamrolling. The ball was just rolling. So that was a new challenge. Work was getting more interesting from a point of view of you kind of get more responsibility, but not even just from a responsibility point of view. You kind of have to manage that responsibility bit, which I didn't in my second year. Then third year, I was kind of figuring out, what do I want to do after my apprenticeship? Like, is this what I like? So it's that whole emotional side of, have I made the right decision? I think that hit me like a ton of bricks in my third year. Then it's like, okay, I'm actually good at this, or I'm good at that, I'm good at that. So you're almost like starting to think, okay, I'm reaching the end of my apprenticeship. What do I want to do? But at the same time, you're having more friends to manage or having more events to do. Fourth year, of course, Black Apprentice Network took off. So it was like socially great, entrepreneurship minded, great. Work-wise was, again, like it's your final year. So you don't know what you're thinking. And then university-wise, it's your final year. So you want to finish strong. So for me, it was like every day, like my day-to-days were genuinely different. But I would say that there were definitely moments where in a month, most excited, because you might be talking to someone super senior that could open doors for you, and then the next week you're super, super nervous because you missed the deadline, or the work that you're doing you might not complete in time. Then your third week you're super, super downcast because you might not have got the best university grade, and then your fourth week you're super, super happy again because you're getting paid at the end of the month. So it's like that whole cycle of what you're doing just was changing.
That's interesting. Do you feel like you found a good routine over the course of your apprenticeship/uni life?
As I say, I mean, I've said a lot that every year was different. The reason why I would say no in terms of finding routine is because the goal of what a routine is for me kept on changing. I think routines are great from a point of view of consistency, and you're incrementally getting better to reach your goal. But if your goal is changing, you're incrementally getting better in so many different things that it's like, what are you actually getting better at? So you might have felt like you're making progress, but you're just moving. You could be moving backwards, you could be moving forward, sideways. Like, velocity is not getting you anywhere. There's no like constant direction, or like there's no speed to what you're trying to get into. But I would say towards the end of my final year, routine was great. Because I knew, okay, the things I wanted to do, getting into it, like it's building, and you just end up like steamrolling down the thing that you want to get into.
How do you feel when you look back on your first few months of your apprenticeship/uni life?
Nostalgic. Like, it was 4 years ago. First few months of my apprenticeship were great. Like the whole idea of just entering this new experience at an age that you know, or traditionally at the moment, you shouldn't be entering. Like realistically, the traditional route is university. People are breaking into corporate at 21, 22. And then people are breaking into certain corporates maybe a bit later than that. So like the average age at my company was like 30 years old. And even that's young compared to some companies. Like if you go to some accountancy firms, the average age might be generally like 40 years old. So for me, first few months of finding that out, I feel like you're the young kid on the block trying to make moves in something that you don't even understand. University, it's like your first time away from like school. Like you're old enough to, it's like, it feels like year 8 again. Because like in year 7, you might actually be scared. Like primary school, your school was small. Secondary school or high school, for me at least, your school is now bigger, but you're the smallest kid on the block. But first year, you kind of have this confidence from sixth form, and you're meeting everyone else that was confident in their sixth form as well. So it's like everyone's outside. At work, you're the youngest guy on the block again. And then in your home, you feel a bit more confident because you're making money, you're hanging out with older people. Yeah, so I feel like looking back at my first few months, very nostalgic, but very juvenile. Like when I look back, I was doing some silly stuff, which I'll still do because I found out so much about like just what it means to be a young worker in my first few months.
How do you feel when you look back on your last few months of your apprenticeship?
My last few months were interesting because I knew that I was gearing up to leave. And so what that looked like for me was just there's that bittersweet feeling from a point of view of you've been here for the past 4 years. It's like leaving year 11, but you know that you're going to a different sixth form afterwards. Like, so for me, I stayed in my sixth form. So it was a thing of leaving year 11 is a bit sad, but you know that you're coming back. But for me, like leaving year 11 and you know that you're not coming back is like you're trying to say bye to your favorite teachers, but at the same time, you need to get on with going to your new sixth form. And like, now you see Black Apprentice Network is thriving, but I would say my last few months was that push and pull from a point of view of I'm ready to leave, but I'm also still here, and I'm also just trying to soak in every moment of it.
Do you feel like it was the right path for you to go down the degree apprenticeship route?
100%. Like, it's not that I don't like to give advice. I think I do like to, I love to help. I love to serve other people, like in terms of helping them get to where they need to get to. And a degree apprenticeship accelerated and bolstered my path in helping others. Like Black Apprentice Network has helped over 5.5 thousand people. This year alone, there's people that, we're expected to have a couple hundred people move into the degree apprenticeship, current apprenticeship track, now moving into Black undergrad. It's a whole new massive audience of people that we can help. So I think that if I didn't do this route, I'm not saying that I do everything to help others, but someone has to. And I'm not saying that it was forced to be me, but I'm glad that I'm in a position that I can. And I'm glad I'm in a position that I am doing that. But I'm also glad that I did it for myself because I'm actualizing on the potential that I truly do believe in me.
Do you ever feel imposter syndrome?
I don't feel imposter syndrome. I don't call it imposter syndrome. There are times where I feel shy, but imposter syndrome is like, to be an imposter means that you shouldn't be there and you're there. I truly believe that I felt to be everywhere. Like, I believe that, like, I'm blessed to be in this position, to be everywhere. Doesn't change the fact that I was shy to enter certain rooms, but I'm shy to enter, and I feel like it's asking, the question can be asked from do you feel an imposter syndrome from a young point of view, from a race point of view, so being a young person, being a young Black person, being a young Black man. I think across all three fronts, someone will be shy to enter certain rooms. I'm shy to sometimes enter rooms with other young people. I'm shy to sometimes enter rooms with other young Black people. I'm shy to enter rooms where sometimes it's only just men. So it's not a point of view of like, I feel imposter syndrome because of all of those things and I don't believe that I should be in that particular room or that specific room. I feel shy in certain times when I might not be as prepared, but like my confidence levels might be a bit low. But it's not because I don't deserve to be there. Like, I do deserve to be there, but maybe I'm not as confident in what I'm going to do when I'm there. But I don't think that's imposter syndrome. I feel like people confuse that. So I do feel like if you've worked super hard, that means that you do deserve to be there. But if you feel shy to enter the room, it might just mean that you might not be as confident because you haven't prepared for the room. And I think that a lot of people need to prepare for the room before calling it like imposter syndrome. It's just a bit of lack of confidence.
How do you feel about the apprenticeship space, long term?
Long term, it's clear that it's going to become the primary option for most people. So the young, smart person currently dreams of Oxford and Cambridge. I still think you're going to have a certain demographic of people that want that. But I think for the majority of people, it's going to be clear that entering the workforce and entering a great company is going to be the primary option more than getting a great education before going and entering a company. I feel like people forget that a degree apprenticeship means that you get a great education as well as early access to a company. I think people think that you just get great education at Oxbridge versus early access at a company. Degree apprenticeships in the future as well will be early access and great education now. And I think that most young, ambitious people should choose that over anything else. And that's especially in the future. So I was at a position where I got rejected from Cambridge. I feel like a lot of people that want to do degree apprenticeships have got rejected from Oxbridge, and then they looked at degree apprenticeships. And I think that there's the trends there, or the pattern there is really important. I think that, so I knew about Oxbridge before degree apprenticeships. I've known about Oxbridge from knee height, like going to University of Oxford. Like in cartoons, the person with the really, really RP or posh or Queen's English accent or voice speaks about Oxford and Cambridge from young. Like even when you think about like Harry Potter, like even though I know that's not Oxford and Cambridge, but the prestige of university and attaching yourself to those sort of things, like the royal family in the UK, for example, you think Oxford and Cambridge. From young, all of the people that you see on TV, at least for us, were like politicians. At the time, the royal family were really, really popping. Besides football, entertainment, it's like the pinnacle of success is going to Oxford and Cambridge. I think if I found out about degree apprenticeships, I'm not saying like at year 3, but if you showed me most people that were successful and said that person works at Goldman Sachs, that person works at JP Morgan, that person works at Google, Salesforce, and said that I want to be that person. So for example, in America, it's very, very different. Like people that want, like for example, the startup dream, they're not dreaming about, oh, I need to go to Stanford to open a startup. They're dreaming about, oh, this is the common path. For me to start a startup, let me go to Stanford because then this gets attached to it. I don't think in the future we're going to necessarily be attaching success to the institution that you are at. Like it's a great signal, it's a great indicator, but I think now more people are going to be chasing like what that can do for me. And I think that entering a beast of a company at 18 years old, as well as getting a great education, will be the norm. And I say that from a point of view of my company. They wanted to partner with UCL, but UCL didn't have a course that they wanted to attach it to, so they chose Queen Mary. And it's not to say Queen Mary and UCL, it's not to say Queen Mary is not a great university, but there are a lot of students that dream about going to UCL because of the rankings, right? If more degree apprenticeships partnered with universities and top rankings, which I think will be in the future because universities as an institution, as a business, is failing. I know this answer is going on, but like, for example, Oxford, Cambridge, and all of those universities are losing money. So they are going to have to think about getting new revenue streams. I think that there will be a JP Morgan that says, I want to partner with UCL. And if I wanted to study econ versus choose JP Morgan and study econ as well at the same university, most students will choose that over anything else. And that time is coming in the next 5 years. So yeah.
Cool. Last question, and this is like off the dome. What advice would you give in a few minutes to young people that are kind of navigating the economic climate and also the early career landscape right now that are at like, late teens?
Late teens or like early 20s?
Okay, I would say 18. 18 or kind of having middle of year 13.
Yeah, so I think it's clear with the economic climate, it's not getting better. And it's also, we're in a position from from at least from an early career point of view, where the traditional things have stopped working. So even when, for example, the economy isn't getting better and things are still working from a point of view, you can say, you know what, now still go to university because after university, you're guaranteed to get a job. That's not true anymore. Like, we know people that are on their second degree, third masters, and don't have jobs. So I'm not encouraging people to do the traditional thing or do the fine thing, even though we're getting better. We're getting worse. I think what I would encourage multiple students to do now is seek as much experience as you can get. And I know that there's not a lot of companies that are doing work experience programs or insight days, but there are enough maybe small to medium enterprises that will give you the chance to build up some skill to then enter into what you want to get into. I think that we're in a position now, and this happens all the time, when people are looking at people from 10 years ago saying that it was so easy to break into a company like KPMG. You just go to university and you apply to this program, you might get in. What we now might see is there's going to be like an interlude step where you have to build up some experience before entering a KPMG. So maybe in the next couple of years, the next entrance age or the early entrance age to the companies that people have been dreaming about might be 5 years later. And within those 5 years, you have to have picked up a whole lot of skills. So, for example, if I were a young person, I would be understanding where the world is moving. Of course, everyone says like AI, and I'm a big believer that's where the world's moving, but it's not a thing of, oh, do an AI course, do an AI certificate or a certification. Like, what does that mean? I think people need to focus on what are you actually doing. So, and I'm not saying don't do courses. What I am saying is get hands-on experience. And I don't think that comes from courses, because those same courses that people were doing 7 years ago, or even through COVID when Coursera blew up and like getting AWS certified, really, really important to a certain type of people, to a certain niche. But I think for young people, I'm not saying don't specialize, but what I am saying is get through the door as soon as possible. And the door that you want to get through, stop thinking that it's going to be the final destination. Like, get in the door, get what you need from that room to then knock on the door that you actually want to enter. And I do think that that's where people are moving. Like, I remember some of my uni friends in first and second year when they wanted to apply for spring weeks or summer internships or even just placements. And the placement said, yeah, we want some like new grads with 5 years experience. It's like, what does that mean? Like, how can you be a new grad and 5 years experience? Unfortunately, the norm hasn't been for the government to go to companies and say, come on, this is silly. How can you be a new grad and 5 years experience? Like, more companies are doing this. And it's a waste of time to complain. So I would say stop complaining, actually get that experience. I'm not saying 5 years, but get that experience and then knock on the company door that you really want to get into. But whilst you are trying to navigate it, you have resources like Black Apprentice Network, Black Undergrad, who are bringing those rooms to you. And the companies that we work with want you in those rooms. But if you think that they don't want you in those rooms, then you're just going to stay where you are. And even if you're not eligible to come to a Black Apprentice Network event, there are other companies that are doing great in their space that will help you get closer to that room. But yeah.
Cool. We'll leave it up there.
All right, cool.